day, everyone, and welcome to our Pro Training Technical webinar. Today, we have Chris White, Business Development and Sales Manager for TAP Pest Control Insulation, presenting. Before we start, I'd like to review a few items to help you participate in today's event. The GoToWebinar platform that we use has a new look, but it's easy to navigate. Note that you have joined this webinar in listen-only mode, which means you are muted. You will have the opportunity to submit text questions by tapping the question icon at the top of the screen and typing them in. You may submit your questions at any time during the presentation, and we will address them during the Q&A session at the end. Please note that we may not be able to answer all questions due to time constraints, but we'll do our best to cover as many as possible. Additionally, you can download the resource documents provided by our presenter at any time during the webinar by accessing the materials icon at the top of the screen. Later today, you will receive a follow-up email containing the recording of this webinar for your reference. With that, let me introduce you to today's speaker. Chris has been in the cellulose insulation industry for over 20 years. He spent 12 years as VP of Sales at National Fiber, a cellulose insulation manufacturer in Belchertown, Massachusetts, and 2 years at Green Fiber, the world's largest cellulose manufacturer, as Director of Sales and Technical Support. Recently, Chris has been with TAP Pest Control Insulation as the Business Development and Sales Manager since 2018. He has been in the building material sales for over 30 years with companies including Sherwin-Williams, Trex Decking, Clear Composite Lumber, and other manufacturers in the building industry. He has trained thousands of pest professionals and insulation contractors not only to sell cellulose insulation, but also to install it safely, more efficiently, and effectively. Chris, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate it. I appreciate Veseris giving us the opportunity to present today. You guys have been a great partner over the years, and I'm honored to be here today to talk to your customers. So I wanted to first let everybody know that we are celebrating 25 years of it being in business with TAP. So we've been at this for quite some time now, 25 years. A lot of folks ask us, how long you've been around, and it's hard to believe it's been 25 years already. But yeah, we've been doing this for quite a long time, have learned a lot along the way, made a lot of friends, and helped a lot of businesses expand into a profitable business while helping their customers. The main question is, what is TAP? So what is the product all about? How is it different? So TAP actually stands for Thermal Acoustical Pest Control. These are the three main attributes of the product. Pest control really is the first and foremost thing we talk about, because that's what we are. We're in pest control. It's our trade, it's our business. And primarily that is what separates this product from everybody else, is that we provide that pest control, but we also have great thermal ability and a great acoustical ability to drown out sound. The key thing here being that we are a pesticide. So we are an EPA registered product. We do have an EPA registration number. So we are first and foremost a pesticide with the added benefits of being a cellulose insulation, which there's a lot of great benefits to a cellulose as well, but more so because it is a pesticide. The main thing that separates us is that only licensed pest control operators can sell this to homeowners. That means you're eliminating any of those insulation contractors that are using kind of that standard insulation on the market that you can buy at any big box store, hardware store, anywhere around there. So it really presents a niche for you to be able to provide something and sort of eliminate that competition by offering a better product than what the average insulation contractor can do. Now, because we are EPA registered, we have a specimen label, which other products that are on the market with standard insulation simply do not have. If you're not EPA registered, you just don't have one of these. And this becomes a very key document, and this is available to download. So I encourage, if you are using the product, you should have this when you're selling it, because a lot of times, and most people don't know this, that all cellulose insulation on the market, including the ones that are in your local stores, have a boric acid in them. Now, it's in there simply for flame retardancy, but it's not in there at the purity or the level that's in an EPA registered product. So oftentimes we find insulation contractors will misrepresent the fact that that boric acid that's in there for flame retardancy can also be effective against insects. And that's simply not true. They have no documentation of that. It's just them guessing. It's not a very good guess. So when you do run across this, one of the things that I always recommend sales folks to do is to show the specimen label. And the specimen label is going to show the insects that it kills and so forth. The other thing it does is it talks about what's in the product. And this is important to understand too. So if you look over on the active ingredients, and I kind of blew it up here, you see the orthoboric acid. We are at 12.5%, and that is a pure form of orthoboric acid. That it's basically a pesticide grade orthoboric acid. The other ingredient you see there is simply recycled paper. So we're actually recycling newspaper-like materials or cardboard. What we want are very long fibers in the product. Insulation is all about trapping air. So we want fibers that are very long to be able to, when it blows into that attic, to trap air. So we're trapping that cool air of the air conditioning in the house, or the warm air, depending on the season. So that's what we're trying to do, is trap that in there. If we use paper that has short fiber, and that would be things like paper that comes out of the copier, things you write on, they have thinner fibers. It's really not optimal for what we're using. We're looking for that newspaper like, that cardboard like, with the longer fiber. So that's really the two ingredients that are in the product itself. Very simple product. Everything is made and supplied here in the US. We don't deal with tariffs or anything like that. Boric acid typically comes out of California, out of a mine out there in Death Valley. And then our paper is locally sourced, depending on the manufacturing plant, of which we have 12 across the country, to be able to supply our customers. Now, the insects that it kills is located right there in the middle, and we have 21 different insects on here. Everything you can read from cockroaches, silverfish, ants. You can read them all there. In fact, I'll show them on the next page, kind of written a little bigger for you so you can see it. But these are the insects that we are effective against. 21 of them now. We used to have 10. We've expanded that over the last couple of years to a few more. Many of our customers had asked to add more, so that's what we ended up doing. And so this is important to have that document available, because if you have a homeowner that tells you, hey, the insulation contractor told me they have boric acid and they kill bugs too, it's simply not true. Here's the proof. It's in writing. We all know that the label is the law, and we can prove it right on our label what insects we actually kill. They will not have a label at all to even show anybody, or nor have anything that's going to say they kill insects. So that's always important to have. Now, I mentioned we have 21 different insects on there. We also were made of 87.5% of a post-consumer recycled paper. I like to call that upcycling. I think it's a great term, because we're using a product that, if it's newspaper or cardboard box, that traditionally is used and then probably thrown away, and now we're recycling it into a product that actually will have a lifetime warranty and will save energy in a home. So we're really making it better than it originally was. And in a way that we're recycling it and not throwing it into a landfill. So really good for those folks who are interested in conserving and being green and that kind of thing. So if you're working with homeowners that have solar panels, electric cars, things like that, they might be real interested in knowing this. Now, we're also impregnated with that pesticide grade orthoboric acid. Now, the key here, because we're using 12.5%, that is where we know we have to get a kill on there. And because we follow FIFRA, we have to put that amount in. You will see on many labels of other products. So if you're looking at, say, a standard insulation, they use this little marketing trick called up to. So they'll put up to 15%, which doesn't mean they have anywhere near 15%. It's just sort of a catch-all, and it makes you think they have more than they really do. So don't be fooled by that. That's something they do that the marketing folks like to try to push in there to make it seem like it's the same thing, but it's not. We know it's not. In fact, 25 years ago when we started this company, we actually tried to use a standard insulation to get a kill, and it didn't work. It took a couple of years for us to finally come up with a formula that we knew had to be more pure and much more of it. Now, we also make it so it's both impregnated in the fiber for flame resistance, but also bioavailable in the product, so that the insects have access to it when they crawl into it. So that's that's how we do that. It's all in the manufacturing process. Now, we are also a Class 1A building material. That's extremely important when it comes to putting products in any building. So this means we can go anywhere. This means if you're working obviously with residential homes, it's approved, but also in commercial. So if you're doing anything with apartments or even hospitals, schools, anything like that, nursing homes, this product is approved for that. So no limitation on where you can go with this. It can be done in any type of structure. We have 12 manufacturing across North America, and that allows us to not only have enough inventory for everybody and be able to keep, whatever you need to order, we're going to have it ready there, but it's also local. So we keep it, we're not shipping from West Coast to East Coast or adding all those extra fuel charges and things like that to it that keeps the cost down. Now, we also take 10 times less energy to make than a traditional insulation, like a fiberglass, for instance. So the product that we have is it's so efficient on that end. So when you combine that with being a recycled product, along with using less energy, or what we call the embodied energy of the product, that means that what it takes to make it. And oftentimes when we think about products that conserve energy, we think about, well, okay, it conserves energy, but how much energy did it take to make it? In fact, of the manufactured insulations, this is the least amount of energy of any of them. The get back on this is anywhere between 4 to 7 years that it actually will make up for any of the energy that was put into it. So much less than any other product that you see out there manufactured today. Now, in addition to having the boric acid for flame retardancy and insects, it also is a natural mold, mildew, and odor control. So borate itself will not allow mold or mildew to grow in it. Therefore, one of the warranty items is it's not going to grow mold or mildew inside that insulation. As a result, that also controls the odor because you don't have that mold or mildew. Now, we mentioned the flame retardancy of it. The flame retardancy is something that is rather cool, I think. If you ever were to see some of the demonstrations they have with a penny in the hand and it burns and it melts, it's a very cool thing. But the thing to understand about TAP in itself is that the boric acid, being the amount we have on there, it actually creates a char over the top of the insulation and doesn't allow that flame to penetrate further. That char is only going to go down about 1/8 of an inch, and that's going to allow homeowners to get out of a home in the event of a fire. Now, it's not flame proof, but it does prolong the spread of any fire, considerably so. In fact, over fiberglass, it's actually 57% better than fiberglass is in a fire. So really key thing there that the product has. Now, this is true of all cellulose. This isn't just of any just with TAP. A little quick history lesson on it is prior to like the 1970s, a lot of insulation that was ground up in paper and used for houses had no flame retardancy on it. It wasn't until the use of more insulation in homes became apparent that when there was a fire, they burned very quickly with just paper in them. So the government came in and said, you've got to put something in there. And that's where borate actually was introduced to all cellulose. It wasn't until we came out with a product that was able to kill insects by increasing that level and making it a more pure form. The other thing is a lot of those other products that have it, they're not using a pure form. They're actually using stuff with other ingredients in it. So oftentimes when they do that, they have to increase that level just to get the flame retardancy out of it. So sometimes you're getting a product that doesn't, it really doesn't have a whole lot of borate in it, but they have a lot of other chemicals as well. Now, our warranty is a transferable warranty from homeowner to homeowner for the life of the home. So you don't, once that homeowner has it in there, that's a selling point for them. They have that, they can let the next homeowner know if they're going to sell that property. That is a pretty good selling tool to say, look, you've got a lifetime warranty that's effective against killing insects in the attic, no mold or mildew in the insulation, and it's going to maintain its flame retardancy for the life of that home. So that's a pretty extensive warranty and a pretty good one in the building industry these days. We also have the Energy Star Seal and Insulate mark. That allows our product to be used for any rebates in the energy world. Now, the big one that was available the past few years, where it was about 30% of the job for up to $1,200, unfortunately was canceled at the end of 2025. But there still are rebates available locally. So if you can search those out by checking with the local gas and electrics and energy producers, things like that. They usually have some sort of program going on in their area. May not be $1,200, but at least it could be something. I've seen them between $200 and $500. Your homeowners can take advantage of that. You don't need to do anything other than you give them a receipt. They do all the application for it and everything else. But it's certainly a good thing to be able to offer your customer. Now, we also have our classification by Underwriters Laboratories. This is a sort of a quality control check. Now, we have labs in every single one of our plants, and we're testing one bag off of every truckload. Every truckload that leaves has a bag tested, and we're testing everything from flame retardancy to levels of borate to dust level to pH levels, all kinds of different things on there to make sure that it meets the requirements that we have. Now, not only do we do it internally, but Underwriters Laboratories comes in unannounced at least once a month. They'll test the bag on property, and then they'll send it out and retest it. And because we do pass those tests, we're able to put their seal on our bags. So what that means to you is when we tell you all these things are true about the product, they're backing us up and saying absolutely they are. So you will get the product that you're expecting. Now, the acoustical properties of TAP is great. It's one of the best ones in the market on insulation today. It will absorb up to 80% of the sound that it comes in contact with. So putting this in an attic at somebody's home who might be near a highway or an airport, schools, any busy area, this is going to drown out that sound. And sound has a lot to do with comfort. I know when we think comfort, we often think of being warm on a cold day or cool on a hot day, but sound has a lot to do with that. If you can imagine, if you're in your home and you can hear every car that drives by or every plane or every kid, talking to their friends walking down the street, that can add to the discomfort of a home. You don't have the peace and quiet. Adding a product like Tap-In will drown out a lot of that sound, and in fact 80% of it or more that it comes in contact with. Now, we also manage moisture very well, and this is something that often gets sort of misrepresented. So when we say manages moisture, we're talking about humidity. Okay, humidity is a big issue in attics. We know that it gets super hot and it gets super humid, and especially in certain climates. And so that moisture can get into there. Now, if that humidity starts turning into more liquid inside somebody's attic, the tap is actually going to manage it. So if you can envision, say, a paper towel, and you can try this out, just take a paper towel, put it on the table, drop some water on it, and you'll notice that the water spreads out, and it will dry very quickly. If you leave that towel there, come back to it 10 minutes later, it's probably going to be dry. And that's because scientifically what it's doing is it's pulling the particles of the water out, and then it's allowing it to dry very, very fast. And tap is a hyper version of that. So it's going to allow that moisture to kind of move through. Now, this doesn't mean if you have liquid, it's dripping a hole in your roof or something like that. That's a different story. We don't want liquid water going into the insulation. Borates are water soluble, so it will deteriorate that. That would be something you would want to remove and replace because it would compromise it. Plus, you've got a leak in your roof. You really need to fix that. Don't let it get worse. Now, thermally, the superiority for tap is just it'll save you up to 30% on heating and cooling optimally. So up to 30%. Now we always say up to 30% because you don't know how somebody lives. You could insulate somebody's attic and then they open the front door and turn the heat on. Well, they're not going to save it, but it's perfectly acceptable to say up to 30% in heating and cooling for this product. That's the kind of the industry standard on it. But if you can imagine going into somebody's house, right, and your customer that you've been working with for years and years, and now you put this product in, and not only is it going to protect them from insects coming in, but now it's going to give them energy savings of up to 30%. Now, I always envision, okay, 30% of my monthly bill is pretty darn good, but if I look at 30% of a year, that's like getting a couple of months free there. So that's pretty good. And that's really going to help your customers. And this is one of the things that, that generates loyalty towards your company. When you can offer this to your customer base and offer them something that is going to help them in the long term, it really does go a long way in loyalty with your customers. We also have a very low carbon footprint. I know we all kind of hear carbon lately. It's kind of been that term of, carbon credits and things like that. In fact, we are actually, when it's installed into an attic, it's carbon negative, which is exceptional, right, for any product to be able to go in because of the low embodied energy that it takes to make the product, and then the energy savings that it has when it's inside someone's house. It's actually a carbon negative product. So extremely positive on that, saving energy side. So that customer with the solar panels, electric car, a myriad of recycling containers, this is going to be something that they're going to want to hear about. Now, how are we different? There are other products on the market. There are some that have come out that tout that they're the same or better. But let's take a look at what's going on here. So our coverage rates are actually superior, and because of the fact that we use 87.5 recycled paper, other brands may have just around 77%, and that's because when we have 12.5% of a pesticide grade boric acid, those are the two ingredients that's in our bag, period. The other brands actually claim to have more boric acid, but the reason they have more boric acid is because it's blended with what we call sodium sulfate. So it's not quite as pure. So in order to get that kill, they actually have to up the amount. And that upping the amount can be as much as 30%. So, you may have talked to folks about installing tap, and we are more dusty than, say, your standard insulation because of the borate levels. But can you imagine twice as dusty from having that in there? So that's actually effectively what's happening is you're getting, because they add other things to it, it becomes twice as dusty, and then there's less paper. So the bottom line is you're actually getting less coverage. Paper is the thing that's going to give you the coverage. That's how it's going to spread out across the attic. So they can be at least 2 times as dusty as tap and get 10% less coverage. Plus, some of the other products don't have the 21 insects; they just have 10 on their labels. So you got to be careful what you do say insects that it kills, because the label's the law, and if there's only 10 on there, those are the only ones you can speak to. So pretty important to remember. Now, when you look at the product side, you can kind of see the advantages, but take a look at the people side. So at TAP, we have, I have 25 years of in the business with cellulose insulation. We also have other folks that have at least 10 years of experience doing attic insulation. So, this is something that I've taught thousands of folks how to do attic installs, how to sell it. So you're getting sort of a seasoned crew that can really help you on any job or any question that you may have. We spent the years in business, our past 25 years here, serving PMPs, perfecting our product, our service, our programs, and our trainings. We offer everything from sales training to technical training and install training. So we also work with customers to do specific training that they're trying to pinpoint with their team. So very flexible in how we do it, and a lot of experience behind us, knowing what we run into in an attic, what can happen, and what you need to pay attention to. Now we also support with the equipment. So if you have an equipment problem or you have something going on, we've been trained in all of the equipment. In fact, we've actually designed equipment. So our company's been involved with working with many of the manufacturers of the blowing equipment. We work closely with Crendel equipment. I have worked with other companies in the past, including Intech, AccuOne, all of these other companies in the market that I've worked with. So I'm very familiar with a lot of their equipment, how they're built, and how to troubleshoot them and things like that. So our whole thing is we're invested in you to be successful, and not only with the installation, but if you don't have the equipment to blow it, not running properly, or your folks aren't trained properly, then you're not going to make money. Your equipment's down, you can't run. If your guys don't know how to put the insulation in, or they're getting callbacks, that's something we can help you with. And that's something that we develop along the way to make sure that you are successful. And the bottom line is, this is all we do. This is our business. We are insulation folks. We don't have any other products that we're selling or trying to do. We sell equipment and we sell the insulation. And we've perfected that over the years. We know what we're doing, and we're always trained to try to make sure we're optimizing our customers' performance. One of the things we've done from this program is that we've created a turnkey program. So a lot of folks want to get into the business, and I think some of the stopping points were, how do I do it? How do I price a job? What do I need? So we've developed this program with the experience that we've had over the years to try to help folks get into it. So it's called our turnkey program. Our turnkey program is a program that we follow step by step along the way. And first thing we would do with somebody, so if you're a company thinking of getting into this, we would have a meeting with you, kind of discuss the program expectations. So what is that's going to happen? We're not just going to sell you equipment, bags of material, and say good luck. That's not what we do. We're going to help put you into business. We're going to help make sure you have everything that you need in terms of equipment, processes, know how to quote jobs, everything. So what you would do is when you purchase the equipment, if you decide that you're going to do this, you purchase the equipment, you get the sales tools and the ancillary items on order, and then I'm going to give you homework. Okay. It's not that easy to just start. You're going to have homework. So we're going to help you develop a rate card. So I'm going to need to know some specific information about your company as far as, the pay rates and benefits, what the hourly would be, including all that. And then, we'll kind of develop that rate card with you based on your market. And you control what you want to make on it. So you would tell me what you want to make for the margins, and I can create that rate card, and then we'll review that with you and make sure you're comfortable with it. And it's got a checks and balances. So when you do the first couple of jobs, you can actually enter in the real costs and see what you really made, and then adjust your rate card accordingly. We also have homeowner contracts. So you probably have contracts out there for pest control, but do you have them for insulation? Probably not. So we have those as templates for you. We also talk about work orders and workflow. So what information do you need to know before doing a job? How do we put that down? How do we get that to the install team? What is the workflow? How does it go from a sold job to an installed job? So those are all the things that we're going to kind of dot the I's and cross the T's on, so that you're comfortable with everything. And once we have all of that wrapped up, now we're ready to go ahead and set up your sales and install training for your team. So now we're going to go through using all this information that we've reviewed, and we do go through the rate card with your sales team and have them actually price jobs. So the whole goal of everything, when we're done training your sales and your install team, is the next customers they see, they should be able to quote out that job. So this is what our sales training consists of, is we go through kind of, hey, what's the potential revenue of this? So we try to excite your teams with, what is they can expect to see in increased revenue. What are the benefits of TAP, which we go through all the features and benefits, understanding our value. That's something that we need to understand on how much insulation we put in. What is our value? Why do we do it that way? Then we talk safety, attic ventilation, which is absolutely key. You don't want to start insulating attics without venting them. And then inspecting the attic. How do we do that? And what are we looking for? Then we talk about measuring and graphing. That's for all the layouts on the work orders. Then you have to prepare the attic. So how do you do that? And now this is all on the sales side. It's also on the install side, because we're pretty stickler on the fact that your sales team needs to know the install and your install needs to know the sales, because they're both going to be asked about it. So when we do these trainings, we like to do them with both sales and install in the room, because if you think about it, the install team is going to be there, and then the homeowner is probably going to ask, hey, what insects do these kill? Or does this really kill ants? And they should know that question. So we try to make sure that we cross-train both ends. And just like the sales team, well, what are they going to do when they come in here to install? How is this going to work? And they'll be able to describe what they do and how they do it. So it adds to the value of the entire program. So these are all the things that we have. And we have the sales tools. We talk about the online resources that we have. So you can go to our website and you kind of see what we have, but we actually have a back end that when you're a customer and you're buying material, we will give you access to that. So now you have additional training, videos, all sorts of things that you can use for marketing and all of that to be successful in there. Now the install training, again, very similar on the sales end, but now we get into understanding the equipment. What is the equipment all about? How do I set it up? How do I use it? What are some of the things I need to look for on a job? What are some of the things that are happening in an attic that I need to be aware of? So we're going to go through all of those things with your team to make sure that they're prepared. And not only when we leave there, we're going to give them our phone number. And I often train companies that, they hear all this information. It's a big data dump on them. Then they get out to the first job and they're like, well, what did I just hear? They'll call me, send me a picture, ask questions. That's where we support them to make sure they're successful. And once they get a handle on it, those calls tail off after, about 30 days. They kind of get the hang of it, and now they're off and running. So this is the kind of support that we kind of lean into to make sure that you're going to be successful, because that's really our goal, is making you successful in this program and making sure that you benefit from it. The last thing we want is to get you all set up and then it fails. So that's we want to make sure that you're successful. So my information's up there now for you. That's my email and my cell phone. If you're interested in learning more, you can also talk to your Veseris rep, who can also help you out, or have them reach out to me as well. If we have any questions, I can go ahead and take those.
Chris, thanks for presenting such great informative information. Yeah, let's go ahead and start looking at some of the questions that were submitted. One is asking, do you recommend using a rental machine to get started?
So oftentimes I do hear that from folks, to get a rental machine. And I do have to warn you, rental machines are never in great shape. I really don't recommend using a rental to start out with, because the labor time it takes you to use a rental machine is probably at least 4 times longer than what it would be to use a good brand new machine that's made for professionals. Rentals tend to be homeowner machines. For instance, when they're running well, they'll maybe do 20 bags in an hour. And that's if they're running well. Most of my C are not running well. The machines that we recommend do over 100 bags an hour. So it's quite different. And we all know that the cost of labor is really the bulk of the cost of a job. So if you're adding extra labor to that, the chances when you're using a rental is it's not going to work out for you very well.
All right. The next question's asking, is there any odor during the installation?
So no, the odor, there is no odor other than maybe the smell of paper. the smell of a newspaper or cardboard box. Borates have no smell. So there is no smell to it. They don't, and often I hear people saying that, insects will be deterred by the product, and that's not true. There's no smell to it, so they don't know that the borates are there. So there is no smell to it other than maybe a paper smell, and that will dissipate if it hasn't already by the time you're putting it in. That would be the only smell, and that dissipation would be within the first 24 hours.
Okay. Thanks, Chris.
Mhm.
Here's a question asking, I've heard rodents don't like the dust and borate in the product because it dries their skin out. Is this something we can tell customers?
I wouldn't. I've heard that before, that the different things with the dust in their eyes and it dries their skin. There's been no testing on that. Any company that would say that is really acting irresponsibly, because without having the testing, we all know labels the law, right? And if it's not on the label, we really shouldn't be saying that to people. So it's really of any product there. If we're using boric acid in there, sure. It, I don't know if it does that to them or not. I don't speak mouse or rat, so I don't know what they feel, but it's hasn't been tested, so I wouldn't say that, no.
All right. Here's one asking, does TAP mitigate roof leaks?
So yeah, I sort of covered that a little bit in the presentation, but it doesn't. No, I've seen where some folks have tried to say, well, if I have a leak in the roof, I won't know it's there because the product kind of manages that moisture. Um, for a period of time, it might do that, but if it's a roof leak, that needs to get fixed. It's not going to allow you to have a roof leak and not have to repair it. And even if it does, if you have a roof leak, you're going to want to replace that insulation, because anything where liquid water is dropping through it, it can compromise that boric acid because it is water soluble. So we all know boric acid is water soluble, so that it can lessen the effect there. So you will want to get that out and replace it. So it's mainly moisture is more of the humidity level that's in there, which is going to allow any kind of dampness to sort of go away. That's not going to affect it, but liquid water, that may.
Okay. Um, I have a comment from someone who joined this call using their phone, and they're saying they're not seeing the materials that were uploaded. I just checked the platform. There's 3 items in there, but if you're still not able to access them, just go ahead and contact Chris here via his email, and he'd be happy to send those your way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
there's the specimen labels in there, which I spoke about. The
Mm-hmm.
turnkey program booklet is also in there, which is what I spoke about at the end in our training. And then our trifold, which is a general brochure about the product.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what else we have. Here's one asking, do you recommend using an infrared or thermal imaging camera when doing this type of work?
Yeah, so infrared cameras are cool. I do like them, and I've been exposed to them for quite some time. I am certified to use them, and there is a certification process. So I always kind of warn folks that just buying an infrared or maybe buying an app that has it on there and just looking for the red and the blue spots and saying, oh, that's cool, that's hot, we need to insulate that. You can get yourself in trouble doing that with a homeowner. You really have to know how to read those cameras. If you don't know how to read them, you can really back yourself into a corner. And what I mean by that is, if you're looking at an area and you don't understand what's happening based on the temperatures and the structure that's there, you could get a reading that you say, oh, I'll fix that for you after I put the insulation, and then you come back and the homeowner wants to see that spot again, and it's not fixed. And it's not fixed, not because you didn't insulate over it, it's for other reasons. There's other transfers, there's other things happening. And you could spend a lot of time trying to fix that when it's really because you're not reading the camera right. So there are 3 levels to thermography that folks can take. Level 1 is really kind of the basis of the equipment. Level 2 gets a little further into it. Level 3 is kind of that you'd be able to teach people how to use it. So that would be something I would warn you on. Yeah, they're neat, they're nice to have, but if you don't know how to read them, that can actually hurt you in the business. So if you're interested in using those, I would advise you take a course on it as well. Don't just buy the camera and run with it.
Okay, gotcha. Here's a question asking, can you provide an approximate cost of product and installation equipment?
So the cost of the install equipment and everything, we do everything in kits. So a lot of times if you go buy equipment from somewhere, wherever you want to get it from, manufacturer online through a warehouser, they're only going to sell you the machine. They don't include cords, they don't include hoses, they don't include any of that. We've actually put the kits together for everything a pest control operator needs. So we're going to have all the hoses, the connectors, the clamps. We even have power boxes that oftentimes with equipment, you have to plug into houses. We have a power box that helps you with that. You can use a generator, but that's another piece of equipment you have to take care of. The power box actually runs off the 240 volt in the house. So it's no gas or oil in there. So everything put together, everything you're going to need to get going is going to be around $30,000 for the vacuum, the blower, and then a supply of attic prep tools. So it's going to include things like the attic hatch cover, the hatch we call the hatch master. It covers the access point to the attic. It'll include your baffles and include recessed light covers. It includes damming materials for around heat producing appliances. So there's a lot of things you have to prep the attic on, and we include that in our kits. So we don't leave the guesswork up to you. So you're not left hanging. We make sure you have everything you need to start with. The only thing you would need to buy is the tap.
Gotcha. Here's a question asking, how does this kill termites?
So with termites, it's typically swarm season. So it's in the attic like that. They do have to have access to the insulation. So if you're talking about mud tubes going through, they're not going to touch it. But it's typically during swarm season, it's when it's going to be able to kill the termites. Now, the thing to know about any sort of insulation like tap, we're not a cure for anything. So if you have a termite issue, you don't put tap in the attic and expect it to go away. We are an IPM product, so integrated pest management. You're going to put that in there after you've solved a lot of those infestations. We're going to help stop it from happening again. A lot of the insects you see on our bag are those that are very common in the fall, coming into the attic and trying to winter in the attic because it's a safe, secure environment. They will have to get into that product. So if you have a swarmer that touches the insulation and that kind of thing, that's where it'll be effective. Same with any other insect.
All right, here's another question asking, I may have missed this, but do you offer sales and install trainings to your customers as an ongoing service or just when you get started?
Yeah, great question. So it's not just when you get started. We offer it continually. There's some customers, we do it every year. They call us every year to come out, and we know you have turnover, and we know we forget things. So oftentimes I may go out and I'll find, half the class that I go to will be have been around for years and they've heard my presentation, and then the other half may be brand new. What ends up happening is obviously the new folks learn a whole bunch of new stuff, but the folks that have been there before oftentimes go, oh yeah, I forgot about that. And so we offer it continually. We also will adapt it for anything that you're running into. I've just recently had a customer of ours who was their salesperson started migrating down the general insulation road, kind of not offering the advantages of tap, just kind of comparing it as though it's the same as any other product. And they were starting to sell more of that, and the owner wasn't sure what's happening. Well, that was one of those things we kind of forgot about the benefits of the product. So it was just a quick review on, here's the difference between the two products. Here's what separates you. And we talk about all of those and get them back on track with the selling points that really makes a difference between tap and any other product.
All right, Chris, it looks like we have answered all of the questions. So with that, I want to thank everyone for attending today's webinar. Later today, you will receive a follow-up email with a short survey and the recording of today's session. It will also be posted on veseris.com/webinars. And so we would appreciate you sharing your feedback with us via the survey. And on behalf of our speaker and Veseris, we sincerely thank you for choosing to spend your time with us today. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.